Hello there, it's good to have you here. I'm the Last Mikester and welcome back to the channel for my first ever retrospective, where today we'll be taking a look at Turok. No, not that one. Nobody liked that one. I'm talking about this Turok, the classic dino shooter from 1997. The game, all things considered, has aged more like wine than, say, cheese, which is never a guarantee in the gaming industry. I am playing the remastered, well, slightly tweaked and then re-released version of the game on the GOG launcher, which if you're not familiar is just a digital game site like Steam or Epic that focuses on retro games. This version, from what I know, is very similar to the original N64 release, just with some added anti-aliasing and achievements. It's got a lot of good stuff going on, and a lot of spirit that livens up the whole experience. So, let's sharpen our knife, dye our loincloth red with the blood of our enemies, and dive straight into the action. Now, calling Turok a dino shooter is technically correct, I suppose, but all in all, you don't actually fight that many dinosaurs.
Now eventually you do plan to have dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour, right?
The game starts off pretty chill with some humans and raptors, but shit gets pretty goddamn whack by the end, as pretty much every popular video game enemy type, with the exception of zombies, joins the party by the end, and I'm completely serious. Humans... NANI?! Dinosaurs, bugs, skeletons, wizards, aliens, robots, Curtis Connor's beefy cousins, giant worms for some reason, crabs that live under the sea, in the sewer, and by the looks of them probably give you crabs. Then you have the Dragonflies, which have got to be the most annoying fucking enemy in the whole damn game. Just piss off, you little bastards. You don't deserve to have the word dragon in your name, son of a... I mean, they say Avengers Endgame was the most ambitious crossover, but with all these enemies coming together...
I don't think so.
I mean, the game was, and still is, branded as Turok Dinosaur Hunter, but you spend, I don't know, maybe 25% of it fighting dinosaurs? What?! You got raptors, triceratops, a T-Rex for a boss fight, and as far as actual dinosaurs, that's it. A bit disappointing, really. It's nothing game-breaking and didn't detract from my overall enjoyment or anything, but I kind of get the feeling that in the final couple levels they just decided to cram in as many different enemies as possible to create an exciting finale, and creating different dinosaurs didn't suffice. Later on, the dinos get, how do I put this? Technologically altered. The raptors get plasma rifles for arms, and the Dimetrodons get shoulder-mounted miniguns.
Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could that they didn't stop to think if they should.
All of these enemies are spread out over 8 levels and are connected by an overarching narrative. Just kidding. Turok doesn't have a story at all, and you know what? That's completely fine. It just needs to be a fun shooter, and for the most part, it certainly is. Turok is a decent protagonist, I guess. I mean, he doesn't say anything other than... I am Turok. And I suppose if anyone had doubts over who this guy was, well, now they know. He has a nice little badass cinematic moment at the end where he escapes the main facility as it explodes. It's cliché beyond belief, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. The game's visuals have aged, decently. It could definitely be a lot worse, and on the plus side it looks better than Battlefield 2042. The water does some very weird things sometimes though, like with this. What the shit am I looking at here? Sometimes it can feel like you're swimming in the Matrix, but that's my only real issue. I don't think the graphics here are anything special to be honest, but the jungle levels look rather nice. The ancient temples are a neat addition, and the final level has some interesting sci-fi craziness going on, with the lead up to the final 2 bosses having some spooky skulls and bleeding dudes hanging from the ceiling, probably for a very good reason, I imagine. Speaking of levels, much like the fairly solid enemy variety, the level design is pretty damn good too. For the most part. Level 5, called the Catacombs, is a convoluted mess, and since I find first-person platforming about as enjoyable as dipping my balls in boiling water, Level 6, called the Treetop Village, is a bit of a nightmare. Also, I don't know who is in charge of difficulty here, but the first 6 levels are scaled pretty well in terms of challenge, and then Level 7 comes along to slap the shit out of your confidence. I mean, it's tough, and yeah, I'm not the best player in the world, but goddamn, I get a kick out of how simple most of the level names are as well, like Level 2 called The Jungle. No, what? I wonder what this one could be about. I don't know, man. It's not a problem, just something I noticed. In each level you'll find some keys for other levels, and collecting all of them for a particular level will unlock it. At first I thought these keys were elixirs or something, cause the animation that plays when Turok finds one makes it appear as if he's drinking from it. Yeah, gotta get some of that sweet G fuel, know what I mean, gamers? You might actually find it useful to have a glass of something for when you inevitably pause the game due to frustration by excessive backtracking, because you'll find yourself doing so more often than not, which is fine when the level you're on looks cool, but when you've looked at the same low poly cave wall like 5 times, it gets a bit old and confusing. There is ammo and armor across the levels, along with secret areas, power-ups, new weapons, and pieces to a legendary weapon called the Chrono Scepter. This thing, well, you only get to use it for the final boss battle if you manage to collect all the pieces for it. It only holds 3 ammo, which is exactly how much you need to kill the final boss, or at least that's what I needed. I'm not sure if this was a glitch or an oversight, maybe they just thought no one would be able to find all the pieces, I don't know, but it was a little anticlimactic to whip this thing out and be done with the final fight in like 10 seconds, but I guess that's the game's way of rewarding you for being thorough in your exploration back in the day, or being slightly lazy nowadays and just looking up a guide on YouTube. Not that I would do that or anything. The other weapons you get over the course of the game are all pretty fun to use. You get all sorts of stuff like a bow, shotguns, a minigun, grenade and rocket launchers, assault rifle, and some futuristic crap like a plasma rifle, which very much reminds me of the weapon that carries the same name in the Doom franchise, and a shockwave weapon, which does as advertised. Combined with the fantastic fluid movement, you feel like a superpowered warrior, which I imagine was the goal. You can employ any number of strategies in combat, from strafing around everyone with a knife to conserve ammo, taking out tougher enemies from afar, saving your beefy guns for boss fights, or just running at everyone with a minigun like a caffeine-infused hooligan that just finished a Rambo marathon. Well, you feel like this in combat, less so when you're traversing chasms. So, a solid arsenal, good level design, and fun enemies to fight. I mean, what more could you ask for from a first-person shooter? Well, Turok takes a page out of Doom 2016's book and understands that an awesome soundtrack can turn "I'm gonna shoot those enemies" into "time to die, you worthless pieces of trash." I mean, just listen to this track, it's such a bop. The music in this game fits the tone and feel so well, and I can't imagine the game without it. The sound design is surprisingly good from 1997 as well, with punchy and futuristic gun sounds and rather brutal yet hilarious enemy death wails.
Got him!
Also, these leaper thingies have a more amusing sound when they meet their maker.
Watch your profanity.
In gaming, audio is so vital to a good experience, and Turok nails it on both the music and sound design fronts 100%. Now, I think the biggest question one might have is, how has this game aged? What have the years done to it? Well, both good questions, and I gotta say, back in 1997, this game probably would have been the shit. At this point in time, it's the oldest game that I've personally played, and yeah, I was playing a tweaked version of it, but I genuinely think the years have been kinder to Turok than some others, even games released after.
Oh, no, 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 no.
Like many games of the time, it has sporadic save points, explains nothing about what's going on or why in-universe, has absolutely no story, and lacks depth. And while I'm sure a story might have helped the player connect with Turok more, it's really not much of an issue for the type of game that Turok is. It's simple and fun, and harkens back to a time where gamers didn't have to deal with greedy companies trying to squeeze every ounce out of profit out of their franchises and games, no microtransactions, loot boxes, glitched out disasters that were so clearly rushed to meet corporate deadlines, none of that bullshit.
Is this good for the player?
No.
Creativity, fun game design, and the player's experience was put ahead of everything else, and that is the way it should be. Turok is a fantastic retro gaming experience and understands what video games should be. Fun. Yeah, kill figure. A couple enemies here and there glitched out, but as far as bugs go, the only ones I encountered were these.
Hey, that really sucked!
The game didn't crash once, didn't get laggy, I had no problems recording. It was all smooth as butter, which as someone who plays Primal Carnage Extinction can be a huge freaking problem, let me tell ya. The gameplay, while lacking the modern polish of more recent first-person shooters, is still super solid, and I have no complaints about the gunplay or movement. In fact, I think it's Turok's biggest strength. The level design can be a bit confusing at times, but it's creative and unique. The enemies that inhabit these levels, while maybe a bit annoying at times, are still fun to fight. The music injects a lot of energy into it, and the sound design rounds up the whole experience. It's a solid retro game, one that embraces what it is, and gives you the tools to make your own fun within its levels. And that is why Turok is an ancient gem. Thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then consider giving it a like and subscribing. If you are subscribed, then hit that bell so you don't miss any new videos. I always appreciate the support. Much love, take care, and until next time.